Do you remember the ESL Cologne 2015 major? Over 8 years later, this major is nostalgic. The tournament hosted insane moments like Apex looking down mid-doors only to be met by 4 ops, or Pasha Biceps hitting this nasty 4K in one clip. Cologne 2015 hosted a number of strong teams including Na'Vi, TSM, Virtus Pro, and EnVyUs. But if you look at the teams that competed in the tournament today, you'll notice that nearly all of the teams on this list have not been able to stand the test of time. So what happened to the 10 teams that participated in Cologne 2015 that no longer exist? Why did they vanish? And will they ever return to Counter-Strike esports? EnVyUs was one of the strongest CS teams that no longer exist today. At their peak, they were the #1 team in the world, winning the DreamHack Cluj-Napoca 2015 major, with a roster of Happy, NBK, Kiyoshima, Kenny S, and Apex. The team felt unstoppable, but this legendary roster came apart in 2017 when NBK, Kenny S, and Apex were acquired by G2. From here, EnVyUs would begin seeing lower achievements than the previous highs that they were once at. They tried to get things to work by onboarding Scream to the team, as well as Kiyoshima, who originally left the group in 2016, but nothing seemed to work as well as it had in the past. Eventually, the owner of EnVyUs would part ways with the CSGO roster in June of 2018 due to poor performance as well as hardships with dealing with the teams whose players were in France while the organization was based in America. EnVyUs would return to CSGO just 3 months later in September of 2018, signing the core of X-Splice, but the team was never able to achieve the standards that they had hoped to achieve in the past. They played in lower division matches and began seeing dozens of roster changes from 2018 to 2020. By January of 2021, EnVyUs would make the decision to put their CSGO division on hold indefinitely. From this point, the entire organization ceased to exist, as Optic would form a merger with EnVyUs, putting an end to the EnVyUs organization as a whole. Luminosity was the strongest Brazilian CS team, and one of the strongest South American teams to ever play Counter-Strike. With legendary players like Fallen, Coldzera, and Taco on the roster at one point, and even winning the MLG Major Championship Columbus in 2016. But the team began seeing less and less success when the team's roster that made them so good left Luminosity to join SK Gaming after their contracts expired on July 1st of 2016. Luminosity would then pick up the WinOut.net's roster at the end of July 2016 and perform at a lower quality than they were once at. They began playing in lower tier events and only really finished in low standings in their competitions. Luminosity went through a couple of roster changes from 2016 to 2019, but nothing seemed to be as successful as the organization had hoped, and by September 12th, Luminosity would have released the entirety of their CSGO team and disband, following a Twitter post about the state of the organization's CSGO involvement, and hinting that they will most likely be not returning to Counter-Strike. TSM was one of the most well-known organizations back in the day, with strong teams not only in Counter-Strike but League of Legends as well. In 2015, when first entering CSGO, the team would sign the former roster of Team Dignitas, a team that was already strong and well established. TSM quickly rose through the ranks, at one point even being ranked the best team in CSGO. This rise to power would quickly end for TSM, as their roster would part ways by the end of 2015. From here, TSM would move their operations to North America. The team would do fairly well, but not as strong as they were formerly. This would only last a short while, as TSM would see themselves in some controversy in late 2016. In December 2016, an article was released disclosing that the Professional Esports Association, or PEA for short, would outlaw its members from its teams that participated in the ESL Pro League. One of the teams that were under the PEA was TSM. What this meant was teams that were under the PEA could be kicked from their teams if they decided to play in any leagues that were not governed by the PEA, essentially making it so players in the PEA would only be allowed to play in the PEA league. Of course, this did not sit right with all the teams under the PEA, and a letter was made on behalf of 25 players in the PEA stating their concerns about these new rules. Because of his involvement, Sean Garris was removed from TSM for his involvement in the open letter to the PEA. Sean Garris would tweet that TSM was planning on replacing him for his involvement in the letter, and released screenshots from TSM Reginald, showing that he would be getting removed from the team. Sean Garris was removed from the team on December 22nd, 2016. Just 1 month later, on January 14th, 2017, the rest of the TSM roster would stand by their in-game leader Sean Garris and leave TSM to play with Sean Garris. This left TSM without a roster, forcing the team to end its Counter-Strike operations. Technically, this is where TSM's Counter-Strike story should have ended, but 6 years after TSM disbanded, the team did come back on August 29th, 2023, with a new roster consisting of Vald, Moto, Jax, Cypher, and interns. The team now is currently active, but after taking a 6-year hiatus, it felt justified to put TSM on this list. Team eBettle was a CSGO team that only lasted a short while, 2 months to be specific. The team was owned by a Cyprus-based betting company, eBettle Limited, and because of this, it brought controversy to the team, as representing the team was representing a possibly harmful gambling company. In an attempt to distance themselves from the controversy, the roster of eBettle rebranded its gaming division into Vex Gaming on September 16, 2015. Kinguin had an interesting team. They at one point had Scream and Rain on the team, 2 legendary players, but after their roster was acquired by Gamers2 on September 11, 2015, the team didn't compete much in the S-tier CSGO scene. The team went through several roster iterations, signing and releasing several players in its lifetime, but nothing seemed to be working as well as projected, and by February 2019, the team would rebrand themselves as Devils 1. This rebrand would only last so long, as Devils 1 would disband on April 30th, 2019, when the team and the roster was unable to come to an agreement on their contracts. Prior to this, the team negotiated a co-action system that would do things such as pay players based on their esports performance, included with their monthly wage. But these negotiations only lasted 4 months before the team and the roster decided to end negotiations and just part ways, causing the team to disband. Flipsid3 Tactics had a strong lineup and even had some crazy talent on their team, with Simple, Seized, and Electronic on their team at one point. The team went through tons of roster changes throughout its lifetime from 2014 to 2019, but the organization came to a conclusion after several members on its roster left or returned to various other teams. This included Seized going back to Navi after he was loaned to Flipside in January of 2018, Lollipop leaving the team, Blade becoming a free agent, and Waylander and World Edit leaving the team to join Windstrike team. With all these roster departures, Flipside ended their CSGO involvement with no comment on whether the team would ever return. Titan was one of the most well-known CS teams that participated in Cologne in 2015 that no longer exists today. The team is now mainly known for their Titan Hollow Cato 2014 sticker, which recently sold for over $80,000. Sadly, the team had an unfortunate end after one of their players, Kali, was VAC banned in 2014, just 1 week before the upcoming DreamHack Winter 2014 tournament, which resulted in Titan to be disqualified from the tournament. Furthermore, this brought negative press to Titan and tarnished the organization's name. This made it much harder for the team to gather sponsors, as well as it made sponsors and partners who were close to signing contracts with the team pull out last minute. Because of this, Titan's predicted budget blew up and the team struggled financially in 2015, as their budget was heavily diminished. By the start of 2016, the damage was all too much, and the owner of Titan released a statement stating that the team was shutting down all of its operations and disbanding due to financial struggles brought on by Kelly's ban. I would like to note that the owner of Titan still owns the rights to Titan's organization, despite it being inactive. Supposedly, there have been buyout attempts for Titan, but this does mean that the door for Titan to return to Counter-Strike is technically still open. Counter-Logic Gaming, or CLG, was a pretty popular NA sports team. Although being more well known for their League of Legends team, the team bolstered a pretty strong North American CSGO team. The reasoning for their disband is not too interesting though, as it just came down to CLG releasing their lineup one by one due to the expiration of their players' contracts. The team disbanded on November 30th, 2017, but the players were only released from the team to play for other teams in 2018, although no games were played for CLG during this period. Team Immunity was an Australian-based CSGO team. The team didn't really have too many high achievements, and the team only lasted 3 years from 2014 to 2017. The team came to an end on June 19, 2017, when Bunrock announced that the roster and Team Immunity would be parting ways on a TwitLonger. Bunrock explained that the team made a decision to no longer play under Team Immunity and would officially depart the organization. Currently, there does not seem to be any talks of the team returning to CS. Renegades was another popular CSGO team that competed in Cologne 2015. The team was originally called Misfits, created in March of 2015, but rebranded to Renegades in June of 2015. The team even had the former roster of Vox MNR at one point. You may know them from Katowice 2014. The team went through a number of roster changes throughout 2015 to 2022, but eventually the team came to an end by June 4th of 2022, when the roster of Renegades was acquired by Order. The team made this announcement via their Twitter. Since Renegades only recently departed from Counter-Strike, there's still a possibility of a return to the game in the future. And that's it. That's what happened to the 10 Counter-Strike teams that played in the Cologne 2015 major that no longer exist today. It's sad to see that so many of these teams faded away over the years. Hopefully, any of these teams do make a return to Counter-Strike with the release of CS2. Personally, I would love to see EnVyUs make a return to the game, as they were such a strong team back in the day. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like as it helps support the channel. I make tons of CS esports related content, so if you'd like to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.